Hey, hey. Welcome to another episode of This Shit's Hard podcast. I'm your host, Nicole Biscuiti.
And I'm Jen, aka Rumblebum. Thank you for joining us.
Cheers, everybody. Good morning.
Cheers.
Good morning.
Kev's drinking his Just Koffee.
Yeah, we were going to say, Kev, what are you drinking?
Yo, hold on. Did I just lose my sound? Hold on. I lost y'all. Hold up.
Oh, no.
Hold up. Ain't this about a bitch? Hold on. I can't hear it. Hold, please.
Okay, no problem.
Let me grab my other headphones. This is why you keep two of the same. 2
I
seconds.
like that he's got backup headphones.
We don't even have a headphone. We don't even have a headphone.
Jen says, we are professional.
Professionals with no headphones. None.
We were talking about, before you hopped on, we were talking about kids. That's why I said,
these ones work a little better.
oh, here we go. I said, well,
I need a deal from these guys at this point.
Can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
I can hear y'all. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. We in there. Look at that. So it's crazy. We'll just kick it off with this. These are my very first Beats by Dre headphones from 2011. You can see they're like fuzzy. Still work, still have them. It's a Christmas gift from my parents after college, and I have a hard time getting rid of things. So
that's awesome.
They came in handy because these are new ones they bought me like Christmas last year, and these fucking died. So
No.
Well, you have headphones. We're the professionals with 0 headphones.
you know, I gotta keep them on. It makes me feel professional. I ain't really that professional though.
Well, you are a professional.
That's why I want
that's the
headphones.
goal.
I want to look professional.
Yo, Prime Day coming up. Get on there. This shit's coming up.
Oh, thank you.
We're gonna get you some headphones, Rumble.
Okay, I'm gonna get some. I want them pimped out though. I want pimp my headphones.
I like that.
What kind of pimping are you gonna do? Like hot pink, fuzzy?
Yeah, what you thinking?
Yeah, what do you think?
I don't know, but I don't want something like everybody else has. That's what I'm against.
Fair enough.
Right.
I like that.
We already know that.
Yes. Correct.
She's gonna live like nobody else lives. She's gonna do like nobody else does.
I'm gonna couch
tour. I got all the drinks. All the drinks.
She's gonna couch tour. By the way, you and Carissa have a couch up there, right?
We do. We have a. You know what's funny, man? Is like we got this chic ass couch. And my wife knows my opinion right by now. I hate it. It looks great. It's just not it.
You can't sit on it. It's not comfortable.
I have extremely long femurs, so I'm just under 6'2", but we say 6'2".
Thank you. I mean, with honesty about his height.
Yeah, I'm 6'1" and 3/4", but you don't want to say all that. So we just say 6'2". But if you really ask, I'll tell you. But I have long legs, and sitting on it's like one of those like longer, like I don't know how to explain the shit, but yeah, it's just too deep of a bucket for me. I feel like it's a workout every time I'm getting in and out of this fucking couch. So
yeah.
Well,
because you have 6 inches of leg off the couch.
Correct. There you go.
My
so
legs would be dangling off the couch.
Yeah. But it's not that high of a. It is crazy. It's cool. It's dope. It's cute. My wife picked it out. She loves it. So
I don't recall.
Yeah, you sat on it.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, you had no issues. See, for normal sized people, is.
Yeah. Well, I'm fun size.
There you go. For me, not fun size. So.
No.
Kev, where did the nickname Colossal Kev come from? The peoples want to know.
People want to know? All right.
Yeah.
Nah, man. So, funny enough, I used to be, I was always like a big kid in terms of like size. So, like, since like my sophomore, junior year of high school, I've been like the same height, maybe give or take an inch. And so I was a bigger kid than an adult, right? I'm like an average size human, just above average. But so in high school, I actually used to have a name. The nickname was Lights Out, which is another story. But long story long, I was always a big kid, but they used to call me Lights Out. I played football. That was my thing. Knock your lights out. Shut off the lights. Sean Merriman, who played for the Chargers back in the day, he was like one of my like favorite players. Whatever, he had the nickname, so I liked it, so I stole it. But the homies leaned into it, so they called me that. And really, the lights out thing was like between him and James Toney. James Toney was one of my favorite boxers. That was his nickname also. But when I got to college, long story long, I was pledging, and there was a guy with the same initials as me. His initials was KD, and his name was Kevin. I won't share his last name because there's some statutes of limitations in there that I probably shouldn't say. But
we haven't exceeded them yet. We haven't met them.
Yeah, I don't know if it's, but there were some issues. But anyway, so he had the same issues, and when we were pledging, I wanted, there was a joke, an inside joke to call me Big Kev. He was really like this 6'5", big offensive lineman, like big ass dude. So it was like a joke to call me Big Kev. And then from big, I just didn't really love it. So, I just leaned more to like the colossal. It was like around the time Lil Wayne had the song where he's like big, like colossal. And I was like, yo, that's a cool ass way to say big. So I just switched it from Big Kev to Colossal Kev. That was really it. So no one really dawned it on me. I mean, they gave me the name Big Kev, but I like the Colossal a little better. So I remixed it.
I like that too.
Mm-hmm. And we spell it with a K because, there's some activity in there where we just like the letter K more than we like, the letter C a little bit.
Well, I mean, it lends itself to the overall branding consistency that you have going on with Just Koffee,
Yep.
with a K.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see that coffee mug. Does it say Just on it?
It's Just,
Just.
that classic Just Koffee font.
Love it.
Love that.
But yeah, branding is big. You know that.
Right. We love that. And we know that you've learned branding from some of the best. I mean,
the best.
He was with Lululemon for a while. He was working in the lab. Yep. I mean,
half a decade.
Well, I was just explaining what you do, not who you are, because what you do does not define who you are. But mm-hmm. I was talking to Steven's mom earlier about you and all the things that you've done. And honestly, you've done a lot.
Yeah,
let's get down some of the things.
You want me to give it?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, I could do that. So I guess it'll start kind of like, it's kind of weird, but like my mom actually used to say when I was a kid, she would be like, you want to be a master of one instead of a jack of all trades. But me being an Aries and just like somewhat defiant kid, I always felt like there was just more to be done. You know what I'm saying? Like I just, like I'll get interested in things. Part of it was probably like my ADHD or whatever. But like getting interested in a certain thing and just running with it until I didn't want to run with it anymore. And I think that more people should have that. But I think I'll get into like what I've done, at least from the way I see it. If you see more, then by all means, let me know. But yeah, man, I've started out with I was always into fashion and that was like big for me. Like I played football coming out of high school and getting into college and stuff, but I had some crazy injuries that didn't allow me to continue to play in college. I probably could have kept trying at it, but I saw the writing on the wall was like, let's lean into something different. So I got into fashion, which is like not my degree, but I got into it. I always was into like dressing cool and fly. I was best dressed in high school and the like superlatives and shit.
We clearly see this.
So like I was always into it. And obviously with fashion brings along a different demographic of friends, right? Especially like, you got guys and girls from like the LGBTQ plus community, guys and girls from like the non-binary. It's just like a whole different world because fashion is just like this big ass canvas, right? Where everybody's kind of accepted. So I had a lot of friends from like different walks of life, in college. But so I got into fashion to some degree. I was doing fashion shows and modeling troops and stuff like that. One of my good friends, Dex Robinson, he's pretty well known. Shouts out to them in Diallo for right now. They got a crazy brand. I mean, crazy like Fashion Week Paris, everything. All the NFL and NBA dudes wearing it.
Pop-up that you and Carissa attended? Yeah,
they did a pop-up at Nordstrom men's store in Manhattan. Crazy dope.
When you get on that level and you've known them since the beginning.
Man. And he'll tell you, he was telling my wife, like, yo, this nigga was crazy. I'm sorry, but I gotta be me, right? She's like, this nigga was crazy back in the day. Like, so like, it's just cool seeing like people's dreams come to fruition. But yeah, so I would say like fashion started it, right? I got into that was like the first thing outside of like sports that I started like dabbling in. And then from there, it grew into like different retail jobs, right? Because I was into fashion. Started working at Nordstrom. That's where I met my wife. So that's cool. But I was doing their whole like Nordstrom Future Leaders program, trying to get into management, and because I thought that was the route I wanted to go into, after college or whatever. Even though it didn't really like correlate with my degree, I didn't care. I was living back home on the couch, the futon in the basement, and I can remember having conversations with my mom, my stepdad. My mom was like, "Yo, like your stepdad literally lined this interview up for you. Like, you gonna go?" And true story, me and my homeboy John, he can attest to this. We was playing Madden like till like 3 in the morning in the basement, and I had an interview the next day. And you know how stepbrothers when they go on an interview together, like we did that. But he stood in the car. He didn't come in, but he stood in the car. Like we drove all the way out here. I'm in a fucking suit. He coming in. I go to the interview. He wait in the car. I bullshit through the interview. Didn't really want the job, and we go back to doing what we was doing. So, but yeah, man, I think to wrap it up and answer Jen's question, like I'll run off some of the things I did. So like fashion with Nordstrom is where it kind of started my career path. I was in their Future Leaders Management program, met my wife. Then I got into my degree was in construction management. Moved down to Florida, still working in fashion. I was working at Saks on Worth Avenue in the Chanel boutique, so that was dope. Met some dope people, and I was working fucking security at Pawn Shop in West Palm Beach. I met Serena and Venus Williams there, had a really dope conversation. And that's kind of what triggered it for me. I remember talking to Venus, and they were in VIP, like grand opening of that club. I don't even think it's still open anymore. But she was like, she basically was like, yo, I was telling her like some of my goals and shit. And she was like, everything's attainable. And that's what I kept from the conversation. Venus said this, not Serena. And I'm like, dope, wrote it down. I'm big on writing shit down. I wrote that down and just I hit the ground full speed. Like, I started PR apparel with my wife. After that, I got into Lululemon, and this is kind of where things started to take shape for me. Lululemon had like one of the best like trainee to management programs, I would say. Till this day, still one of the best companies I've ever worked for. Canadian's awesome. They give you the best benefits and shit. The shit is not a game. Like, I was working a fucking retail job with like full on benefits, chiropractic, everything. Nothing was out of network, it felt like.
Wow.
So I could do everything I wanted to do and still work at Lulu. But only downside to it was, full transparency, I couldn't just live off of Lululemon in terms of like my compensation package. So I was like, I gotta still have a day job. And I had the construction thing in the back pocket. So I was working at a flooring contractor, high-end contractor on Palm. They did a bunch of Palm Beach Island and Lagos Island, all those fucking ritzy spots in Florida.
All the islands in
all the islands.
Yeah, all the islands.
So I was doing all of that, and it was amazing, right? It was kind of what I wanted to do. And then Lulu was where I was just learning the game. I was really, really soaking in a lot of game. So I would work from 7 to 5. Monday through Friday, essentially. Yeah, Monday through Friday. And then 3 days out of the week, I would close the store at Lululemon, Palm Beach Gardens. And then I would work one weekend day. So whether it was a Saturday or Sunday. So I was working a lot. But I was cool with it. My wife was cool with it at the time. I still made it important to, like, we were boyfriend and girlfriend at the time, but I still made it important to make time for her. And she made time for me. So it was just like, those days where I wasn't working or where I had breaks, like we just like, phone was down and it was like block and step for that. But
we love hearing that, by the way.
Yeah, that's important. Not to get off topic, it's just really important.
Didn't you say that you knew, like, pretty much as soon as you met Carissa that she was going to be your wife one day?
Oh, somebody that. So is a friend who's I wouldn't say he's not a friend, but we just don't talk as much anymore. This kid we used to work with, actually, and we used to work, me and Dwayne, his name is Dwayne, but he used to work with us in Nordstrom, and me and him used to work out after work together. And it was around the time we first started dating. I was like, yo, I'm going to marry her. Like, I'm pretty sure. And he was like, bro, you just met her. And I was like, when you know, you know. And I had come out of a relationship prior to that. It's crazy because, like, I'm 34, me and Chris the same age. So it's not like we're like at our second point in life, right? Like, I was 22, 23 saying this. And I had only been in like one real relationship prior. I
Yeah.
dated other girls and, did that whole thing. I was in college, right? Whatever. I had that time. But I dated one other girl seriously before my wife. And I was like, I think this is where I want to go. Like, we could come back to the like build up stories and how the things that I've done, right? But like I really do think that like I just kind of knew that like I'm either going. Everybody's got some shit with them, right? Everybody's got some bullshit. I got bullshit. My wife. Everybody's got something that's like everybody. I don't care who the fuck you are,
Lots of bullshit. I have lots of
right?
bullshit.
Everybody has that,
We all
and
do.
I realized young that like I'm either going find someone that's okay with the amount of bullshit I got, or I'm gonna keep knocking on doors and finding out these people don't want to deal with my bullshit, And I knew my level of bullshit that I could deal with, and Carissa is like, I'm like, yo, this is fine. She good. You know what I mean? So it just for me it was her for me. I guess that's what they say, but yeah, it
I
was
love
simple.
that.
When you know what you want, is you step on it, you move. I guess I'm like that with everything, but
Yeah.
but yeah.
Well,
So go ahead.
when
Sorry.
you were talking to me, because so Jen, Kev and I met in the weightlifting space, literally like through working out in gyms. And I remember, Kev, you came up to me like in the middle of a session one day. We were like sharing a platform,
Mm-hmm.
and you gave me a PR apparel hat. And
Yep.
you were like, "Yo, this is for you. Me and my wife want you to have it." And I remember Carissa following up with me, and like she was so on her game about what the goals were for this company. And I was
Yep.
like, "Oh, this is some husband and wife like
Love
we're
that.
running shit stuff."
Yeah, I
It was
love that.
Yeah,
great.
man.
I
Big
love
big
that.
credit to her, man. Chris is
Yeah.
I always say I'm a hustler. So I think I'll find my way to a dollar. Like literally, I work 7 jobs in Florida.
Right.
But Carissa is very
You
strategic.
and you and Rumble know that very
Yeah,
well. Yeah.
yeah.
I'm always working 3 to 4 jobs at a time.
Uh, if not, I feel weird. Like right now, I gotta. I mean, I have my own companies now, but and I work for someone else now. But like, it still feels a little bit like I could be doing a little more. But
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
but you
getting
have
better at.
both though. It's
Yeah,
kind of cool to be the boss in your at your brand, but then also you're working for someone else. So like I don't know if they know how lucky they are to have you,
yeah,
because most people just don't show up at a job where they're working for someone else and care as much
Yeah.
as you care.
yeah. I would say, to that point, I think a lot of that is like it's part of like it's a gift and a curse, but I think it comes from like where I grew up, how I grew up.
Sure.
Um, I
Well, where
was
did you grow up and how did you grow up? Let's talk
yeah,
about that.
so I grew up in North Philadelphia. Um, Probably one of the. I mean, if you watch the news right now, you know what's going on in Philly. But I think it's probably one of the roughest. I mean, she living like not far from where I grew up, but
Yeah.
so she's in a good spot. But right, wrong turn, right, wrong neighborhood, you could be
It's
in a
pretty
rough
close
spot.
to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I grew up in that. Me, all my siblings, and we just had a like. I never want to discredit my mom or my father. They did a really decent job. Like they did a good job, especially my mom. That's my homie. And everybody knows me. We'll get into my dad's story. Me and my dad are tight. He did what he had to do to get where we are. But and my dad's like one of my best friends. But we that's just where we grew up. We grew up in a rough, poverty stricken gang, drugs, all that shit was like right at my doorstep. And by the time I think I lost. By the time I was 25, I had lost my two first cousins and my brother to gun violence. You know what I mean? Like that's not even normal. But at the time, like up until the point where it was my brother and I was an adult and I could like go to therapy and shit like that. When it was like my cousins, I couldn't see that wasn't normal. You know what I mean? When I was like, and so we grew up in like this rough kind of like gritty ass neighborhood where everybody's kind of like out to see you kind of fail in a sense, right? Like, there's some good people, right? But there's like you almost feel like, oh well, if I don't do this, somebody's counting on me to fail, which is weird. But that's how it felt. So a lot of times when I put my mind to something, I'm so this is something I got to work on, and I've been to therapy. You know, I know y'all like a therapized guy, right? Or whatever
We
word
love
y'all
a
use.
therapized
Therapeutic
man.
men. Yes, that's our
But
one of our
something I
mottos.
got to get better at is being okay with like with failing in a sense, or like not winning, right? But that's really what drives me, man. It sounds crazy. It's super simple to me. It's like I just don't want to. I don't want to lose in front of the people I care about. So it almost pushes me to this like unhealthy level of like work where like I gotta pull back the reins. Like, yo, you know, you doing a lot, bro. And even today, I text my mom some weird shit. It's just like the way my brain works. It's like, yo, there's things that I want for you, my wife, and my sisters, and I'm not gonna stop till I do them. That was literally a text I sent my mom. She says, as long as you do it with integrity.
Oh,
So you know what I mean. That's really how I wake up and set the tone for myself. Whether I do it that day or I do it in years to come, that's really something that's on top of my mind. So I think that's what really drives me. North Philly is not a game. Like I'm not glorifying that lifestyle, but
Of
I grew up
course.
with some rough shit, man. Like I've been through the fucking ringer, and I think
But that's
part of
part
it
of
is like
who
I
you are,
grew up.
and
Yeah.
that's what shaped you. So
Mm-hmm.
obviously you could have went completely opposite direction and you
Facts.
chose this direction and now that drives you. So that's all positives.
Yeah, man. It is, and Jen, I think that like I've started to see it that way as I gotten older and a little wiser. Um, but a lot of times you do try and like, at least for me, like I was like wearing it a little bit too much. I think you know what I mean, like because you kind of when you come from that, you feel like, am I selling out? If I start to do things a certain way,
mhm.
you know, shit. Even me, like just dating outside of my race, right? Like to start
Mhm.
in my neighborhood, there wasn't nothing but black people and a couple Latinos. You know what I'm saying? Like that's really what's there. You know what I mean? It wasn't no. You know what I'm saying? Until I got to like high school, where I started to like get into sports and like interact with different races and shit. But even then, like the white folks that went to my school was like, psh, they right in the trenches with us. So it was very like me and my wife come from two totally different backgrounds. So that was even different. Just like navigating that and like, oh shit, okay, this is how this
And
work.
how
Okay.
did that go over with like your circle of friends or family when you
Say that
started dating?
again.
How did that go over with your friends and family when you started dating your wife? Was it a thing? Was it not a big deal?
Yeah. So I would say on my side, it was with my family it was very like open, right? Like my mom, if you've met her, and not just trying to make my family sound like this like cool ass, like, oh, we accept everybody, but it was just like I think my mom was just happy to see me happy. It was right after my brother had passed away, that me and Chris had started dating. So she didn't even really question like,
Mm,
why are you dating this white girl? You know what I mean? It was very like Krista came over right after. Like it was like it was almost organic in that way. So I can't lie and be like, oh, it was tough. You know, this shit was hard. That part wasn't really hard.
that's
I would
great.
say more, but I would say more so on like I lost one friend in this whole me and Chris is starting to date, and I would say that that tie was probably going to sever itself at some point, anyways.
Anyway, for
Um,
sure. For sure.
and he was somebody that I was close with, and he didn't really see why I was dating who I was dating. I'm like, what I eat don't make you shit. So why you care? She good for me. She's cool. Her peoples are cool. Chris's family is amazing. I know that's not the case with everybody getting into like interracial relationships and shit. But keeping it straight up and down, I've never had any type of like, cause I'm a temperature checker. I'm not gonna let nobody say no slick shit to me. I'm not gonna let nobody look at me different. You gon' you gonna feel my energy when I'm in the room, and it's either gonna be addressed or or I'm a step. So if I ever felt that, I would have addressed it, but I never even got a chance to like. I kind of came in with like, oh, I'm gonna have to check somebody, and
Yeah.
I never had to do it. And I think it says a lot about her family the way she is, because
Yeah.
it's like certain shit. I think, and I'll leave this here, but I think that like in 2020, when the world was like in an uproar, right, with like racial tension, right, it's always been there, but I think in 2020, everybody was sitting at home, so like it was like right in your face. Um, it really tested a lot of those interracial relationships. Like some of my friends, and it never ever like Chris's family was in full support. Obviously, my wife was in full support of whatever I was doing, uh, and so it let me know. And not that I really questioned it, but it let me know like, yo, this is like this. I knew I was right. I told Dwayne 10 years ago I was right. So it just came full circle.
Yeah, I never had issue either. Me and my ex, it's now my ex, but yeah, when we got married, had no issues either. I was a little bit surprised. I think any issues that we had came from more people that we didn't really know.
Yeah,
Had like maybe a little bit of attitude about it. Um, but other than that, yeah, no issues. And now, I have Aria, who's half black, so now I'm having to learn all
right.
about all about that. About okay, how are we going to raise her together? Because we're great co-parents, we're still friends, but how are we going to raise her together? And how am I going to learn to address racial issues with her as well as even though my father's Cuban, people don't really, they see me as white, right? So I'm, going to be her white mother, etc. But yeah, we so far have not had any issues with that either. So I'm feeling very blessed up until now.
I mean, I think that's one thing that we haven't, like me and Nicole were talking. Me and Chris don't have children yet. Um, we want at least one. I think we're gonna probably shoot for one at some point.
Let's have one, at least one.
But that's one thing that I will have to take head on, right? And I'm like, I don't say I'm nervous about it, but I'm definitely like, I don't know what it's like to be a biracial kid in America. I only know what it's like to be a black man. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So it's like that part is a whole nother, entity in itself. So we'll have to cross that bridge when we get there. But um, you know, like anything else, I'm excited for a challenge. I'll figure it out. So
And kids are definitely a challenge.
oh yeah. I
Black,
was one.
whatever color, doesn't even matter. They come with their own set of challenges.
Oh, I ain't listen. I ain't in no rush, so
Yeah.
I see that.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
I
They have
mean,
superpowers. They have super. Yeah. When I think I'm whispering, and then she's like, "What were you talking about?" Because now she's 5 and she has an attitude. So yeah, she hears everything. Last night I was actually talking in code to my cousin. I was like, "All right, they're not going to go away. So this word is going to mean this." We were talking about dating, and I was like, "This word is going to mean this." So we were talking in code.
I mean that you listen. You gotta do what you gotta do to get where you gotta go, right? Like
Yes,
I ain't mad at that.
correct. Listen, I need you to give me some advice because you're a solid guy with a head on your shoulders. I
Appreciate
am
that.
kind of back in the dating. I don't know if I am, Nicole. I've got one foot in and one foot out. These
Look, if you, this is
are
how I view it. If
these
if
men
you're
out
single,
here,
listen.
Kev,
If you're single, your feet are in the pool. You might not be all the way in, but your feet in
you're
there.
right.
Because
They're
if the
right
right
there.
person come along, you're not gonna not jump in the pool,
That's
right?
correct. I am
Um,
open, but the
right.
men,
So
the men, what is going
and
on?
listen, I don't know. I mean, that sounds kind of corny. I don't want to give you the TG answer. I'll be straight up. I think a lot of men, regardless of race, whatever. I think a lot of men in general are just so uncomfortable being vulnerable, right? And I think that like especially when you reach like 30 plus where you kind of like as a man, like general, I guess like general dating terms or like the old school, the old ways, right? As you get into your 30s, that's you're supposed to be in your prime. You're supposed to have a career all figured out. You're supposed to have X amount of dollars saved and all this shit, man. And I think when a man does not have that, they feel like they can't really be vulnerable enough to like date. They're all cool with smash and pass and doing all that cool shit. But
Yep.
when you gotta sit down and do taxes with somebody, or you got to y'all got to split a bill or some shit. Not a lot of men are good at that. So I think they when they see it out, they're gonna take it. You know, I got a homeboy. I won't say his name, but you know, we were talking, and my homeboy, he ain't had many girlfriends. Like he had like I think one serious girlfriend, and so he's back in the dating pool, and he was dating this girl that we knew, and they were like casually dating, and she had everything going for herself. Like you know, she had her crib was set, she had a little business, you know, she was making her own money, doing her own shit. She was I'm like, yo, let's fucking go, like, you know. And I'm like, I'm giving him game, like, yo, bro, don't fuck this up. And he fucked it up, but like he willingly like walked away, and he was, and I'm talking to him, and this is one of my close friends. We talk every day, and so I'm like, yo, I told him straight up, I was like, I gotta be real with you. I think you were afraid to like let her know that you ain't have all your shit together, and I think she was okay. What you don't realize is that she already could see that, right? Like I can only use myself as the. Go ahead, what you got?
I just said women know. Women are very intuitive.
Yes, they energies is y'all thing, right? So I always say like when me and Krista started dating, like I can only use myself as an example. I didn't have shit together at all. Like I still, if you ask me, I still got like I still got so much work to do. You know what I mean? But like, I was
All do.
yeah, and that's okay, right? I learned that in therapy, but yeah. Remember what I said? Everybody got some shit. She was like, I could deal with that shit. You know what I'm saying? So she saw that, like, she could see all of the potential and shit. It sounded kind of cliche, but that's probably where you at with it, Jen. You know, the dating pool, and you've been around, you've been on it, right? You've done it, right? Like you always saying this, you've been divorced twice, right? Because I listen. Um, so yeah,
Thank you.
you gotta
Thank
listen.
you. Yes.
You got 2 ears and 1 mouth. You gotta listen more to you talk.
Been divorced twice, so I'm not looking for marriage right now, clearly, or maybe
No.
ever again. But everybody wants companionship, right?
Yeah.
And so the couple times that I've dipped in the dating pool have been rough. Like men are like, they act like they want to date, and then the whole situationship's coming into play. It just baffles me. And all the stories that I hear from my friends, it's the same scenario over and over. So I'm like, what is happening in society? Like, where did this enter? This whole situationship. I can't commit. I don't want to commit. Yeah, go ahead. Please enlighten all the women because we need it.
I have a very big theory on this shit.
Oh,
And
great.
aside from what I talked about prior, it goes back to like, and I'm not like super spiritual. I grew up. We'll get into the religion shit, but I grew up with like 2, so I feel like I could speak on this. But I feel like, and I had this conversation with my wife. We was like having a line a couple months back and just really talking about it. I was like, because we got little cousins and shit that's dating, right? And I was like, I feel like the normalcy behind like dating and all that shit, or what's normal, is like gone, because like there's no real structure to anything anymore, right? Like,
Yeah.
so like where when we were growing up, whether you love, hate, or indifferent about religion, I really don't give a shit. But that was always like that was a mile marker for you, right? Like you kind of got whatever you got from that, right?
Yep.
Whereas these kids in this generation, whether you're Gen Y, Z, X, or millennial, you're still in this what's happening right now. So like as you see it, everything's at your palms, right? Like on your phone. So like no one's really practicing religion. Monogamy is like almost redundant. Everything's like free on the internet, right? You can get free porn now, right? So when I was a kid and I wanted to be a little risque, I had to go find a fucking DVD somewhere, steal it from my uncle. You don't gotta find. You don't have to search for anything now. So everything's really at your fingertips. And what's being sold, quote unquote, is like this like, and you could cancel me, whatever. This like loose behavior, right? Like it's like a behavior of like nothing really matters, right? So like for someone to put a relationship on like a pedestal, which it should be, whether it's heterosexual, homosexual, whatever, they're not putting those relationships on that pedestal anymore, because it's not what's being sold to them. Go from religion on down to whatever it is you believe in, whether you believe in astrology, whatever. It's just nobody has that. Everyone wakes up, we get on their phones, and whatever's in front of us is what we want at that time. And it's not, more often than not, it's not you seeing someone be committed to someone, right? Even down to the dating apps. I never ever got to experience dating apps. And I think Carissa was on there for like 2 seconds before we started dating. But like I never really got to experience them. And I always look at it like, damn, so this shit like Instagram, but like you could just like, that's how I see it. I don't know, but like, I mean, if
Cole
you
was
put
on
out,
it. I was on it for about 2.5 seconds and I was like, this is
Hmm.
a dumpster fire. A dumpster
Yeah,
fire.
it's
So
it, it's all it's all perception, right? It's your perception is your reality. What you see is like that's so. Correct me if I'm wrong, please, y'all, the listeners. The way I see that is like, how is that any different for me? Like, say I'm going on a porn site, right? And I see all these girls. I can pick from whatever genre of kinks that I want to look at, right? That I can go down that rabbit hole. And how does that differ? How do you switch? How do you change that? How do you flip the switch when you go on Tinder or whatever it is, and you're like, you can just
yeah,
swipe until you
yeah,
find what you're looking for, and you don't even
mindless.
know if that's it. You
Yeah,
know what I
it's
mean? Like, so I mean, more power to y'all who are on the apps, but and I'm not against technology, but I just think like there's got to be a better app, right? There's got to be a better formula coming soon, hopefully.
hopefully we go back to organic meeting. Hopefully, that's how Nicole met Steven organically. That's what I'm hoping for. Something I can meet somebody organically. Like, I'm done with dating apps for a while because, like I said, it's the truth. It's mindless. It's mindless scrolling, mindless, and you're not even like knowing what you're doing, and then people don't even answer you back. You get like ghosting is the norm. This is the norm, and it's so like I don't want any of that. So what Nicole and I were always looking for is it was like a needle in a haystack. I feel like
Yeah.
in 2023, because
But I
it's
think
just
it's possible. I just think, Jen and I, like she said, we talked about this a lot. Um, I personally, just with my own experience, I do not feel that the apps are it, because there are so many people on them and every person is looking for something different, down to there is a substantial amount of people who are on the apps purely for entertainment and to burn time. They're literally like scrolling at night as if it was Instagram, and they're just,
or for
entertaining
hookups.
themselves. Or that.
Hold that thought. Hold that thought.
Okay, I'm holding that thought.
So I don't want to. I'm a ruffle the feathers, but I think that like it's just an easy way to be. For lack of a better term, it's an easy way to be a coward. It's an easy way to be a pussy, in my opinion. I think that
Yeah, I
like
agree with that.
holding conversations, holding space for people is hard for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And like I think people can easily lean on, oh, I have social anxiety, I have this, I have that, right? And not knocking that. Mental health is real.
Right.
Um, ADHD. But you know, when you lean on those things, they become your crutches. You know what I'm saying? So like if you really, 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 really wanted to do this, then step outside your comfort zone. Anything worth having is gonna be uncomfortable for the first little bit. It's gotta be. Because without that, you can't grow.
Oh,
You
I
know what I
love
mean?
that you
Like,
said that. I love that so
yeah,
much. Yeah.
that's a fact.
And
Yeah.
I
all
And like,
three
truly
of
believe
us
that.
know that for sure. All three of us know about being highly uncomfortable.
yeah.
I just had that conversation with my mom not too long ago because I started boxing again. And
Yes.
my
And
mom
we
was
want to
like,
come to your next fight. I'm
it's
so sorry
November.
that we couldn't come to the
Actually,
first one.
December going to be fire. So I got one in November and one in December. December should be a good one. So
Okay. What
uh,
city is in December?
December, it'd be in Hoboken, right here in Jersey,
We will
right
see you.
outside Jersey City. Yeah,
See you
it'd
in
be good.
December.
See you in
It'd
December.
be good. I'm putting
Are
that
we
on my
allowed
calendar.
to make life-size posters
You
of
could
you?
make whatever you want. Shit, my mom almost got us kicked out, so you can do whatever you want.
Well, your mom, Jen and I are
Yeah.
coming up. We'll sit next
We're
to her
coming.
and we'll be the rowdy
Oh,
part.
she going. She loved boxing. She loves combat sports, but she didn't
Great.
love them for her only son left. And so we had this conversation.
Okay.
But now she's good. But basically, the conversation was. She was like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Right? Because me and my mom had that kind of relationship, and she felt like it was like me chasing a ghost in a sense, right? Like my dad, my brother, they all box or whatever. And I was like, no. I think this is truly like when the older you get, we tend to not do challenging things, right? You're just more aware. So the more you know, you're like, oh, that's dangerous, or oh, that's that. I can't do that. Can't do this. And I think that's kind of what kills you. That's my own theory. But I
Yep.
think if you're not doing things that like scare you a little bit, then you don't know if you're brave or if you have courage, right? So if you constantly living in this comfortable state, then you don't know if you like brave enough to do some hard shit. You don't know. Um, So that was really the push behind it. There's some other things like Carissa said, this wild story when we were in Italy. She told the dude that I was a boxer, but she didn't mean it that way. She meant that like he asked what I did for fitness, and she was like, "Oh, he boxes." And
Yeah,
the language barrier, he thought I was like a professional
a
boxer.
boxer.
So
Yeah,
we always she came back full circle. She was like, "Actually, I fucking strung this chord." So, but yeah, when I told my mom about it, she was not about it until I broke it down in that way. As in, at the end of the day, we all got an expiration date, and not to get dark, but we do. And
we do.
before I leave, I want to make sure that I've fulfilled all of the things that make my cup full. And one of those is doing things that actually are hard and things that actually kind of scare me a little bit, right? Not scare you in terms, because if you scare, you shouldn't do anything, but like make you nervous, right? Like you should have those nerves, like, ooh, this is kind of, that kind of hurt,
Like
but
me
fuck it.
running a stupid marathon. I don't want to
There you
run a
go.
fucking marathon. I don't know why the fuck I signed up for a marathon. The same reason that you're saying now. I don't like running. I hate running. It scares me. I needed a new challenge outside of lifting. The thought of running 26 fucking miles. Had to do a long run the other day, was 9 miles. And the whole time I was having conversations with myself. One, what the fuck are you doing? I hate this. The other side is shut up, just shut up and run. Like that was
Yeah,
my conversation the whole time. So I totally get what you're saying about doing things that make you uncomfortable, out of your comfort zone, and it grows your mentality for sure and makes you stronger.
1,000%. I couldn't agree more. I think a marathon is great, right? But I think that like it's just for me. I grew up boxing, so I do want to say that, and it's not something that I don't want to scare my coaches. Right? It's not something I didn't love and didn't want to do,
Yeah,
but it was something that made me uncomfortable as an
sure.
adult. Right? As a
Yeah.
kid, kids are fearless. They don't know what they don't know. So like as an adult, it made me uncomfortable having to get in there and know that I'm going to fight this person, right? I'm sparring 2 times a week, but that person, I can hit him, but he can also hit me, right? So
Yeah.
like that was the part of like, ooh, this. It was a weird feeling. It was kind of like, oh, this is uncomfortable, but I like it. So it was. I think you'll get to that point, right, Jim, where you're running these long runs and days where like you're having those conversations with yourself. You'll eventually hit a point in that where it's like, ooh, this hurts, but it's like a good hurt. And same as like weightlifting when it was new or whatever, right? Like everything when it starts, it
CrossFit.
should be uncomfortable. Yeah,
Yeah.
you should be uncomfortable
Cross.
when it starts. If not, you in the wrong arena.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Well, I think from an
Always
outside
doing
view, I
the
think
work.
we saw you do the work. People that really fuck with you and like your family too. Um, I definitely noticed the work you did on yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing.
That's
Just the work, the time you took for yourself. Hmm. Yes, 1,000%. And that's fine because that's what it that they're conditional people, right? Like those Instagram people, that's
yeah.
conditional. We give them what you want to give them. You know what I mean? That's totally cool. I don't find
But
no
it's
problem
okay
with that
because
at
me
all.
and Nicole volley off each other. If she's having a meltdown, I'm cool. The next day, I'm having a meltdown. She's cool. So, it's even like friends. The bullshit thing in friends is also real. I can take this bullshit from you. So, you're going to be my friend. And I got bullshit too, and you can take my bullshit. So, my bullshit, that whole entire skit. Your
Yeah.
bullshit is my bullshit. Your
We're
bullshit.
all in the bullshit together.
All
I will
bullshit,
say,
all bullshitting together.
and I will say that Jen, back to the dating pool, I think you're in the wrong pool. I think that like just the way my brain works, I was thinking about that in the back of it, right? It's like I always tell me, and this is an inside joke between me and my wife and a couple of our close friends and shit, but I always say that like Carissa wasn't like she wasn't in the pool of North Philly. She definitely wasn't. Like I was that like anomaly. I happened to work with her, but my outside life was still very North Philly at the time. I mean, I was riding around with a 40. That's a gun, by the way. Not registered, living a totally different lifestyle outside of work because of what was going down in my neighborhood and my brother's life. But yeah, I was living a completely different life in terms of like outside of work. Like I was just like buttoned up in a suit selling you women's shoes. And then outside of work, I was doing a lot of like just like things that probably wasn't her cup of tea. And I remember like we were starting to date and like casually date and see each other. And a kid that we both worked with, he was doing a open mic. He used to rap, and she was like, "Yo, let's go." And this is when she got introduced to like my life, right? Outside of work. I was like, yeah, we could go. That's cool. I was like, I'll pick you up, blah, blah, blah. So, I met her and we drove to this open mic, but it was in a neighborhood where my brother had his altercation and his beefs, we'll say, right? Um so I was very hesitant. Like, I mean, I had I was very hesitant to go in because we didn't know who was going to be in there. It's just like Philly is not really like color gangs in terms of like reds or blues or whatever, but it is very like neighborhood territorial. And where this happened at was like literally like the corner and cross marks. So I was like, and I didn't know how to like really say that to her. And so I was like, yeah, we good. So I went in my trunk and I grabbed my 40 and we went into this it's like a house party thing or whatever. And she was having a good time. It was like people was rapping. It was like 8 Mile and shit. And I started to feel uncomfortable with some people in there that probably that I didn't feel comfortable with just being by myself. I wasn't with none of my people. It was just me and Carissa. And so I was like, yo, we got to go. And when we left, she saw I was like emotional and just kind of upset about it. And that's when I told her the whole situation of like what we was dealing with as a family, but also just me as like, my brother's brother, you know what I'm saying? So it was a lot of um, just discomfort in that way. But when I say that like Jen could be in the wrong pool, it's like Krista wasn't looking to be into that at all, I assume. But I think she found that like there's some good ass people that come from that pool. Myself being one of them. You know what I'm saying? It's like we don't those paths won't ever cross if you don't like introduce yourself to those types of people that may not go to the same gyms as you, may not hang out in the same coffee shops as you, but like you might meet someone from a different walk of life somewhere and be like, maybe I should try this. That's what I mean by like she's in the wrong pool, in my opinion. She could be in the wrong pool, but that's always an option. I think that like a lot of times, especially guys that come from like inner cities and communities like myself, we don't, it's not that you're looking for something like that, right? I'm not looking for a certain type of person or woman, and neither was Carissa. We just happen to have this common piece, which was our work that brought us together. So
Right. That's exactly right. And that's why I think, I don't think she's going to meet someone on an app. We'll see. I mean, she could probably just be living her daily life, right?
right.
Like, I mean, like you and Carissa, like me and Steven. I'm not I'm not saying that they don't work. I know plenty of people who have happily married from meeting on apps,
Yeah.
but that's because they were both at this in the same headspace. They were using the app for the same thing and they found each other at the right time. So there's that, you
A lot
know.
more shit you got to weed out. But I will say that I always love y'all questions, and y'all ain't asked me, so I'm just gonna ask myself about what is real.
Oh, we can ask you them.
Okay, wait, but I missed what dating pool I'm supposed to be in. I was
Oh,
like hanging on a thread.
yeah.
What dating pool? What dating pool?
Yeah, so basically, to sum up, the dating pool thing was like, I don't think Carissa was looking for this guy from quote unquote the wrong side of the tracks. Myself, right? And I clearly wasn't looking for like, oh, I'm gonna find this white broad, this Italian style. You know what I'm saying? I was just like, I was having fun. I was young, and it just we met at a common place, which is our work. But once she really got to know me, she was like, "Oh, this is like you really like." And I hate saying this shit, but it's the real thing, right? Like I really, really, really am from where I say I'm from. Like I'm that. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? And a lot of times I don't think that like it don't even click for people sometimes because you know, the way I carry myself and certain shit and how how I stand on business and but there are good people in those dating pools. You know what I'm saying? Like myself is what I'm saying.
Oh,
And
I
a
believe
lot
it.
of yeah, but a lot of times those paths will never cross if y'all not in the same, had a common grounds, right? So y'all might not be in the same gyms, y'all might not be in the same, uh,
Oh,
clubs
I'm
even or bars.
exploring way outside. Nicole can attest to that. I've gotten to the point in my life where I'm just like, no fucks. Like, if I see somebody that I feel like I have interest in, I'm going to make a move. Like, I don't care, right? It's 2023. I have nothing to lose. That's my attitude now. Literally nothing to lose. I'm going to be like, hey, what's up? Actually, to one of your friends who we will not name names. I literally was just recently like, so what's up?
Yeah, well, credit to him, whoever he is, because he ain't told me shit. So that's what's up.
I'll tell you after we're done recording.
Yeah, I appreciate
Yeah.
that. I'm a bust his balls.
But I really like this because, Jen's basically saying, well, I've been ordering queso for this many years and it hasn't panned out. So you know what? I'm switching to guacamole. Why not?
No, I
Like,
like,
I love that.
and I mean, I clearly could tell. Like, you have a daughter that's half black. I don't think you stop putting a ceiling on what you're dating. But I mean, like, in terms of like, I'm not even just talking race. I'm talking like me and my wife, other than Nordstrom, had so we
Nothing.
thought we had nothing in common. You know what I mean? Um, Not even. And then I found out a lot more that we did. My wife, her favorite rapper at the time when we started dating was Wale. I would have never guessed that. You know what I'm saying? It was just like certain shit that I'm like, oh, she really with the shit. So that's when,
I
give that
love
shit a shot.
yeah, I love that.
I love that. Now, Kevin has been very excited about all these questions that we haven't asked him yet.
It's cool. We talking. It's cool. This is conversation. I'm good with it.
But we'll ease into it. How about you tell us about your morning routine? Because we know you get up and you get after it.
Morning routine. So I'm up. So Monday through Friday, I'm usually up between like 5:45 and 6:15, depending on like what I got to do. Turn on the espresso machine. Carissa and Pugs get upset because it's loud. But yeah, I turn that on first thing and just kind of let the coils kind of heat up. So I'll do that. Then I'll pour. I'm not. Well, I'm not fasting right now, so I'll pour a glass of water, drink that, and I start making breakfast right away. It's usually like between like 5 and 6 ounces egg whites. Um, since I've been on this, healthy coloss kick. uh, so
He's thick,
yeah,
but he's healthy thick.
yeah, it's been healthy thick. But yeah, so yeah, 5 6 ounces egg whites, yogurt, Greek yogurt of some sort, whatever's in the fridge. Some fruit, some berries, usually like blueberries or what's it, blackberries? I think they are. Um, and then I do very specifically between 12 and 17 grams of honey. Um, don't ask me why. I just don't like doing the full serving. But anyway, so that's it. I feel better about myself. Um, and that's usually breakfast, and then I sit down and do like the email shit for like work. So I'll open up my work computer, um, let that kind of reboot and do its thing, make my espresso, and then I'm sitting here for like 30 minutes, just email stuff, like usually not responding, but like reading shit that happened the day before, or like if something came through like emergency stuff because construction shit happens early in the morning.
Right.
And then from there, I usually go to the gym, whether it's boxing or weightlifting. I'll do one or the other first thing, and then the other piece that night, whichever way it shakes out. With boxing, I have to work. I work with a coach and a team, so if it's boxing and the team is there at that time, then I go there first, and if it's vice versa, I'll just flip flop it.
And then you'll fit in your weightlifting based upon
Yeah,
that.
so weightlifting is usually after work, or if I do it on lunch break or some shit like that. That's usually how it
Yeah.
goes.
I like that better anyway, because me personally, I'm not maxing out a snatch at 6 a.m. That's not happening.
Not happening.
Not happening.
Yeah, most times it's conditioning. Like if I have a conditioning piece, because shouts out to my coach Damien. He writes all my strength and conditioning. So, and they work very well with my boxing team. But like if it's like a conditioning piece or like some shit that ain't like I'm not pushing no heavy loads, I'll get it out of the way. But if it's anything heavy, it's after I eat lunch or before dinner type thing.
Okay.
Okay, cool. So she froze again.
Cool.
So we're gonna go with my question next. We know what question is
Yes.
coming because we started it. When the aliens and or bots come, now I think more realistic than aliens are the AI bots, right? Because that
Definitely
is an
bots.
actual thing. It's an actual thing. Are you fighting? Or are you laying down? I know the answer to this question. You're a boxer. You're a fighter. You're a fighter. So we know, but I'll let you go ahead and answer because we all know by now the answer to this question for me is I'm just going to lay down and die. So go ahead, Kev.
I listen. I love that you a sacrificial lamb because that works for you. I'm not gonna argue it, but nah, man, I have to fight. There's a there is like that's in me that is born into that. So, but I think that like also, I mean, you don't know what you're capable of if you don't try. So, shit, I might be like Will Smith in the joint where it's him and the dog. I might beat all the motherfuckers and just be me and Pugs. So, I gotta try. So I'm gonna fight their ass.
That's great. I've offered to sacrifice myself as, just you guys can throw me out there and I'll save you guys for a couple minutes. That's my offering. I asked him the AI bot question.
I think with the
We got
bots,
that out of the way.
we just gotta find the cloud. Whatever cloud, just shoot that shit and they all done. So that's all.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's true. That is true.
They heard me, so they're gonna switch their plan. But that's what I think.
Yeah. Yes.
I only think I got one.
I don't have another one open. Is it not? I'm turning purple. We'll see. You know what? This is going to be all sewn together. Yeah, this is a nightmare today for some reason.
It'll work. And if not, I'll find another day. We can do it again.
But I feel like this is okay. I feel like it's going to be fine.
I'm for it.
Next question.
What
Do you
y'all
want to
got?
do the rapid fire? Yeah.
Dog, I got him. Yeah. So right now, last week, this week, it's been a song by Rallo Rodriguez called "Teleport Junkie." It is fucking amazing. They sampled Drake's what's the song? It's the Jumbotron "Shit Poppin'," which was written by Lil Yachty, which makes sense. Well, if you don't know about Lil Yachty, definitely do your googles. He's solid songwriter. But he wrote that and they sampled it on this song. He's featured on this song, so it makes sense. But it's a banger. That's been in my headphones in my car. Yeah, it's crazy. I'm gonna send it to you. You gotta add this. This is a it's a banger.
Right.
You make
Podcast.
time. You make time for what's important. So I try and read 4 books a year. It's 4 quarters in a year, so it's not much to most people, but a book a quarter because just you gotta exercise this muscle, right? The brain.
Yep.
And I feel like emails and shit that don't count, that's mundane. Like you do it with your eyes closed. They just don't force you to think outside of what your daily is. So I got 3 of them here, so I'll show them to y'all that I've read so far. Uh,
Here.
so
So you can show them.
Message to the Black Man in America, um, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Um, my dad is Muslim, so I've had different pieces of this book drilled into me at some point, but as an adult, I decided to read it. It's a great read. I don't agree with everything in it, but that's like most shit. I took what I needed to take from it, and I feel like it's definitely if you're a Black man in America, you should definitely read that book. It might not align with everything, but I think that's most shit that you take from what you need. And then Battle Cry. This was a gift from one of my best friends, John. This is by Jason Wilson. I read this one. Dope ass book. He got another piece to this. I forget what the next one is called, but he's a dope black author and like a philanthropist. He did a lot of shit in like the inner city of Detroit. Um, but just like a cool ass like OG to look up to. But it's basically, this book is like therapy for any man. But it's basically it's just him telling you how to like open up to your soft side, being more vulnerable, but at the same time not losing your masculinity. I'm big on that. I don't think that men were created to be like flowers, right? I think we were created to be a flower sometime, right? Like there's like you got to know when to turn that on and off, and he does a really good job of putting it into words. That book's amazing. So every man should read that book, Battle Cry by Jason. Yep. And then this was the most recent read. Let me see it. The art. Um, this is super simple. It's just like passages, right? Big military read for any of the guys in that world. But I got into that when I picked up boxing again. So it was really big for me to understand why I was doing it. And it ties some things together for me for sure. I've the full ass library upstairs of books I've read. I tend to keep them. I'll give them away if I feel like it's somebody I feel like they should read it. One of the best books I've ever read is Contagious by Jonah Berger. You should read that one. It's a good one.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's what I've read so far. Right now, I don't know what my fourth book will be, because I'm kind of above pace, right? Like as you say, oh no, you have time to read. I read in the sauna a lot. I sit in the sauna like 4 or 5 days a week, so I'll usually read in the sauna. Um, Sometimes I'll read my car, so I'll bring my book. I'm on the road a lot with work, so I'll bring a book and like in between like job sites and shit, I just try to get a few pages. So it works for me. I don't listen. I'm used to working like 7 jobs, so I have to be like active at all times, or my brain just like not functioning. So that helps me keep my shit together. So yeah, I actually do read a lot more than people think.
We
Pull
love
for a
that.
book.
Okay, so rapid fire questions. These are like
Yep.
first thing that comes to your mind when you think about these one word, and they're not hard. Like everyone's like, I'm ready, and they're really not that difficult. Okay, so first one we're gonna go with is raves. No, not raves, not raves. Why did I use that word, raves? Because my brain is farting right now. Festivals.
Festivals. First thing that comes to mind is
One word.
Tyler Creator. Tyler.
Tyler. Okay. Next phrase. Situationships.
Weird.
Good answer.
Yeah.
I've done I said raves. I'm like, why did I say raves? I said festivals and then situationships. Nicole will give you another
Well, it kind of goes along with raves and festivals, but sunglasses at night.
Yes, and I have to explain because I heard Blaine shit, and I gotta explain why.
I feel like you were
So,
gonna I knew you were gonna say yes. I feel like I knew you were gonna say yes.
so where, and my wife is totally against this shit, by the way. But in my culture, when you wear your sunglasses at night, your looks, when you in the club or whatever, that's just you cool. You in your shit. Like you in your element. Like if the homies is if the ops is in there, you want to feel like you in that mode. You want to feel like you got your shit together. But also if you're a little high, a little drunk, you hide in that so the ops can't tell that you high or drunk. You know what I mean? So there's a different
But
reason behind it.
say about
And also
glasses if
just
you're high.
fucking style. Rick Ross wear his glasses at night because it's part of his outfit.
Okay.
Okay. Acceptable.
Thank you.
Also, one of the more unique answers to that question. So we appreciate you for that.
Appreciate y'all.
We know this, but for our viewers and listeners, international travel.
Oh, see the world.
It was funny because when you were talking about you and Carissa talking about relationships, drinking wine, in my head, I was like, maybe they were drinking wine in Italy together.
I drank a lot of wine in Italy. A lot. A lot. Yeah, that was a good time.
We love that.
Definitely see the world, man. If you got any time to travel, shit, make time. If you don't, see the world.
Yep.
Well,
Sure.
Jen and I completely agree. This is
That's
the
been
life
our
that
motto
we are.
this past year.
And the
see.
motto.
Shit.
Yep.
I see.
We
I
are
definitely-
shedding and getting rid of things that we don't really need in our life. So we have even less ties to things that don't make sense, less ties to things that we're utilizing our time or time hijacking. And we're just, that allows us a little bit more freedom and clarity to see the places and spend time with people that are worth it.
Right.
Yeah.
And I applaud that 1,000%. Yeah, man. I mean, if you believe in God or universe, whatever, right? They place us in different regions of the world for a reason.
Right.
So you get a reason to go see the other regions of the world.
That's
If they
right.
want everybody in one place, there would be no reason to go anywhere else. So
I love that.
Amen.
Yep. Kev, this has been such a great conversation. We are going to do this again, probably in person, so we can eliminate however many times we've jumped off this Wi-Fi.
maybe I'll do like a round table. We had a couple of us on here. I'll sit
We've
on that.
talked about that. We've talked about doing a round table. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
But I do want to leave y'all with something though before we go. There's
Oh.
a quote I've been like kind of living by. Is two of them, but to leave you with this one because I do think that what we started with, like most people, not even just men, should probably hear that. Don't mistake habit for hard work. I think that like a lot of times, myself included, you get caught up in habits and like the monotony of shit. Like I said, I have to be doing something to feel like I'm valued, right? But yeah, don't mistake habit for hard work. If you're gonna do it, do the actual hard shit. No pun intended. So
Love that.
you know it.
Thank you for that. We love
Yep.
that.
I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for having me.